I don't want to waste any time. You are here because you're not feeling your glutes and you want to feel them when you're doing the hip thrust. So let's see the first reason why. And the first one will seem obvious. It's your form. If you're not rounding your hip, then you can't expect it to work that much because that's what your hip does. Actually, your glute and your abs are sharing the same function, at least one function, and that's rounding your hip. And if you are not capable of rounding it, or let's say that you feel like there is a weakness around your abs, you can fix that by training it. For example, you can do a hollow hold for 1 minute, and that's going to train your abs. And at the bottom, make sure that you are really squeezing your glutes, or your lower back can arch. And if it's arching, then your glutes are not working anymore. It's going to be your spine erectors. So that's how you can fix that one, making sure that when you are doing the hip thrust, you're rounding your hip. And the second one is the lockout. And based on your mobility, your lockout is going to be different to someone who is on the other side of the gym. But if you are not looking out your hip, then your chances of feeling your glutes working are diminished. But let's say that if you are training your biceps and you are doing the curl, you are going to feel the peak contraction when you are at the top, but you are not stopping a few centimeters down or even at the bottom. You are going all the way up. So why wouldn't you do the same with your glutes? And that means that if you are missing a few centimeters, you have to push it higher. Just focus on an external cue, pushing your hip all the way to the ceiling, and you can't go wrong with that. And when you feel like you push it all the way up, then push it a bit more, because there is always a few centimeters missing. And the third one is going to be your hamstring. If you are just like me, a hamstring dominant person, and you feel everything in your hamstring, even if you do a biceps curl or a bench press, I have a solution for you. You just have to pre-exhaust it. By that, I mean that you go to a hyperextension, round your back, and you do one set of 30 rounded back hyperextension just with your body weight. And if you really want to bias your hamstring, go really wide on the platform and turn your feet outward. That way, your hamstring, whenever you do the hip thrust, will get tired after a few reps, and then will force your glutes to do the majority of the work. But remember one thing, if you are just pre-exhausting a muscle, you don't want to annihilate it. So just do it with your body weight and be sensible with how you are doing it. And if you don't have access to hyperextension, you can do a hamstring curl, a lying one or a seated one. It doesn't actually matter as long as you are pre-exhausting it. And there are always the other type of people who are feeling everything in their quads. But you have to be really careful how you pre-exhaust your quads, because most of the exercises, if you do a lunge or a squat, that's going to hit your glutes too, but you don't want to do that. Let's say that you are focusing on a hip thrust. You definitely don't want your glutes to get weaker or at least pre-exhausted at the lengthened position, so when it's like stretching out. So you have to pick an exercise what's mainly hitting your quads and leaving your glutes alone. And for that, you can do a heel elevated goblet squat. Make sure that you don't come all the way up. That way you will metabolically murder your quads, and you only have to do one set. You do one set of 30, and I'm pretty sure that you will never feel your quads again when you're doing a hip thrust. And that's going to solve most of your problems. And majority of the people are like that. But there is one more thing what I want you to know, that when you do a hip thrust, it's not just training your glutes. And that's the reason why you are feeling it in your quads or your hamstring. And there is another one where I feel like this is not really a reason, but you can try it. Some people feel their glutes more when they place their feet closer together, while some are feeling it more when it's out to the side, quite wide. And to be fair, that's how you should feel it more, because your glutes like some external rotation. And lastly, it's your mind-muscle connection. It's easier to feel a muscle working if you can put your mind to it. That sounds strange. Most people say that you don't need to do mind-muscle connection, because whenever you do an exercise, your muscles are working. And actually they are completely right. That's true. Your body doesn't care about anything else apart from mechanical tension and metabolic stress and other muscle damage and all kind of stuff what you already know. But it doesn't really care about that much. But let's be honest, there's a difference between a guy who is training, the guy who is not training. Grab your friend who is not lifting and hold out the bottle to the side. You will be the one who is dropping it first, even though you are carrying more muscle than the other one, or at least your friend. And it's mainly because you are better at activating your muscles. And that's the whole goal here. If you can activate it and fatigue it and use it more, then it's more beneficial to do the exercise like that. So what you can do is when you do the hip thrust, make sure that you are doing it slowly. By doing it slowly, you are giving more time for your muscles to contract. Actually, that's not true. You're just giving yourself enough time to feel it contracting, and you are under tension for longer. And that's going to metabolically stress your body, and it's going to make your glutes burn a bit more. Now, one more thing, and this is what everybody says, that you should squeeze your glutes at the top. But if I'm being honest with you, the person who can squeeze their biceps at the bottom will have a stronger contraction at the top by keeping it squeezed the whole time, opposed to someone who is just trying to give it an extra squeeze at the top. So if you are doing the hip thrust, don't just try to squeeze your glutes together at the top, because that's mindless. Everybody can do that. That's the easiest thing to do because it's already contracted. Do it at the bottom when it's stretching, and keep that squeeze when you go up, and you are going to feel one hell of a contraction, and that will do the job. I hope this list helps, and if you are struggling with the hip thrust, let me know which part in the comment section down below, and I'm out. See you soon.